Hi guys, so I'm just going to do a video for you today. This is an update of the George Floyd case and everything going on with Black Lives Matter at the moment. It's going to look at the George Floyd case and what happened with it, and then it's then going to go on to how this is being politicised by the left, particularly Biden and the BLM in general. Although I don't condone anything that happened to George Floyd, I think the charges against Chauvin are misguided and possibly illegal, I would say. So let's go from the least worst first. So he was charged with manslaughter. Now this is a criminally negligent act. I think in this particular case, he wasn't acting in a criminally negligent way, because you were allowed in that particular area with that particular police force to put your knee to someone's neck in order to restrain them if they were resisting arrest. And it was very clear from the video that George Floyd was resisting arrest. And so he wasn't, although what he did was wrong, he wasn't doing anything criminally negligent because it was allowed by that policing organisation at the time. The second charge was third-degree murder, and this has to be with someone of a deprived heart. So this means that they didn't care whether the person died or not. And again, I think that that's kind of misguided, because I don't think that he had any intention to kill him. I think that he probably did care if the guy died. I mean, it's something that Chauvin will have to live with for the rest of his life, whether he's in prison or not. And the second was that he was committing a felony. Now, I don't think that he could have been committing a felony, because even if you said he was committing bodily harm or against George, well, he's a police officer and he's allowed to do this maneuver in order to restrain someone who's resisting arrest. And so I don't think he can be charged for any of these things. And what's really wrong to me is the focus that we have on black people and black lives, when everyone is being affected by knee to neck restraints. There was the Tony Timper case, and none of the police officers who restrained Tony Timper were arrested for negligence or, convicted of murder, convicted of manslaughter. And this was because, although it was a very, very sad thing that happened to both of them, and although the police officers shouldn't have put their knee to, someone's neck for that long, it was a perfectly legal thing for a police officer to do in both situations. And so with Tony Timper, it was impossible to charge anyone for that. And that's why I think that there's a certain unfairness towards Chauvin. Right, so I really think that we need to consider the use of knee to neck restraints and to what extent they should be used in general within the police force. I mean, George Floyd was quite a large black man from the video footage, and I'm just thinking that if you used a knee to neck restraint on my nan, let's say, it's going to be a completely different situation. My nan will probably die from you putting any knee to her neck, even if it was for a much shorter period of time than George Floyd. I also think we need to consider whether we should use knee to neck restraints when there's a suspicion of the person doing drugs. In both the case of George Floyd and the case of Tony Timper, they were both on drugs, and the drugs as well as the knee to neck restraint contributed to their deaths. And so maybe if there's suspicion of the person being on drugs, we shouldn't be able to use a knee to neck restraint. Maybe we should consider the amount of time that police officers are allowed to put their knee to someone's neck, because the amount of time is also going to be a factor in whether it's going to lead to a fatality or not. And I don't condone what happened to Tony Timper. I don't condone what happened to George Floyd, but I just think that legally, I don't think either of them can be charged, because at the time, neat and neck restraints were allowed by law enforcement, and there's a big conversation to be had about whether it should or should not be allowed. But it was allowed at the time, and we can't convict someone for something that was legal at the time. So, for example, I'm against abortion, but I can't convict anyone for having an abortion now, because it's legal in my country at this specific time. If it became illegal tomorrow, I couldn't convict someone for having an abortion yesterday. Do you see what I mean? So we need to consider the laws at the time, and we need to try and make these laws better, and so that in the future people won't be killed accidentally by police. So in the second part of my video, I want to talk about how this is being politicised by various people. So it's firstly being politicised by Biden, and secondly it's being politicised by the BLM. So the first person I wanted to talk about was Biden and some of his policies. So what he wants to do is he wants to increase the number of black police officers within the police force in order to reduce the number of black perpetrators killed. Now, this doesn't actually work in any way. It doesn't work for two reasons. Firstly, white police officers are more hesitant to actually shoot a black perpetrator. And one of the reasons for this is that they're concerned about being the next George Floyd. They're concerned about being the next racist police officer who loses their job and possibly ends up in prison over accidentally killing a black person. The second issue is the fact that when you have a black police officer, they're more invested in black communities. And, you know, because they're more invested in black communities, they want to stamp out crime as much as they possibly can. And so they're less hesitant to shoot a black person because they're just so fed up with the crime within their area. And so actually increasing the number of black people, black police officers, isn't going to reduce the number of fatalities. It might actually increase it. And there's also the issue of the fact that of diversity quotas in general. So when you have a diversity quota and you say, oh, well, we need, let's say, I don't know, 20% of black police officers, then you're hiring people just because of the race of their skin, which is racist in itself, but also means that you might be hiring people who are less competent for their job, and in turn, more likely to end up killing themselves or another police officer or a civilian, and that's a massive issue as well. So the second organisation that's kind of like politicised this George Floyd's death is actually Black Lives Matter. So they want to defund the police, and I was told I don't really know what defunding the police is, but I do know what defunding the police is. They want to take funds away from police services and put them somewhere else. Now, I think that is very ridiculous in a number of ways. So, for example, they want to stop police being in schools, and they want to invest in more counsellors and teachers. Now, there is a reason why we have police in schools in America and in Great Britain. The reason that we have police in schools in America and Great Britain is in order to improve classroom behaviour, improve relationships with the police so that people feel more safe. They feel that they can go to the police if they have an issue, like someone's selling drugs on the street, or that there's that they're being domestically abused or something like that. And also it it reduces people becoming offenders. It reduces things like gang crime. It reduces any types of crime in general, because people are, they're more willing to obey the law if they know a police officer and if they're friends with them. That's the reason that you have police in schools, is in order to reduce crime in a number of ways. And so I think police have an important role in schools, and I don't think that you should take police away from schools. I think particularly with the black community who, there have been videos of children, black children crying when they see a police officer. Particularly in terms of those children, you need to have police in the schools, and you need to make those children feel safe around police officers, and encourage them to obey the law. Another thing that they want to do is they want to reinvest police money, particularly money into police having weapons, and put that into community investment like education and that kind of thing. Now, education is great, and in a way having more upward mobility and more educated people can reduce crime, but we also need police officers to have guns, to have weapons, in order to protect themselves and other people. There was a recent case with a black woman who was trying to stab another black woman, and Black Lives Matter have been protesting, about her death. And I think that's rather ridiculous, because that's one of the reasons that you need police officers with guns. You need police officers with guns so that they can protect the public, so that they can protect people from being murdered. You also need police with guns so that they can protect themselves. In the UK, we have a situation where police officers don't have guns, and there have been many cases of female police officers being beaten to death because they haven't got a gun to protect themselves. And so we need police officers with guns. We need police officers with guns so that we can protect everyone. And yeah, I really hope you like this video. Thank you for watching, guys. Please check out the links in the description, because I've got loads and loads of references for this video. And yes, I also did a podcast with Chastity Rose, which you can link down below. Definitely check out her channel. She's very interesting woman. She's a trans woman, I would say a libertarian, and probably like a centrist. So very interesting person. Definitely check out her channel in the link in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Oh, I think I forgot to say, please subscribe and like this video. Yeah. Bye, guys.